Okay, let's see how to add an image to a page. I'm going to go to the rabbits page that I created earlier. And I have a rather large picture of a rabbit to work with. The good thing is that WordPress has some limitations on image size. The reason that's a good thing is that we want to make sure that we don't have giant file sizes for people to download in order to view the page. If they're viewing a web page, their phone or tablet or computer has to actually download a local copy of that image. And if it's a really large file size, that can eat up their data. That can take a long time. A number of reasons why we don't want it to be super huge. In addition to that, WordPress will make several versions of really large images, so you can choose whether you want a smaller picture with a smaller file size that's associated with that. So I'm going to put a rabbit right about here. I've clicked in the text box where I want to put the picture, and then I'm going to click Add Media. Yes, there's a button down here for Insert Edit Image. I never use it. I don't know why it's still there, but what we want is Add Media. And we get to the Insert Media panel. It's kind of like a window within our window. And we're on the Upload Files tab. If you know that the picture that you want is already in the media library, you can click on that tab instead and go hunt for it. Notice that the media library looks a little different here than it did on a prior tutorial about the media library. Here we just see the thumbnails, and if we click on an individual image, we can get details on the right. But for now, we need to upload a new file. So I've clicked on Upload Files. I'm going to click on Select Files in the middle, but notice I can also click and drag. I can drag it right here. But most of the time, I have the entire screen covered with whatever window I'm working on. So I'm going to click Select Files. There's my rabbit. This image here is 1.3 megabytes, which is a really giant file size. I wouldn't want to force any web user to have to download that big thing here. But like I said, luckily WordPress makes several versions that are smaller and a little bit easier to work with. This is 1367 pixels across and 1709 pixels down. That's why it's such a large file size. I'm going to click Open here, or you can just double click right on the file name and it will go ahead and load it. You don't have to click and then click down here. So I double click there. I'm going to uncheck this other item. You can actually check multiple items here, but when I selected this one here, it left it selected, so I'm going to unselect it. Now I just have my rabbit here. There we go. And on the right-hand side, those are the details for this image. This is the web address here. Here is the title, and the reason that it says rabbit is because the file name was rabbit.jpg, and it just stripped the JPEG. If I want a caption under it, I can add that here, and the caption will be added to the page. But this is the all-important item that I mentioned in the last video. The alt text is really important here for the visually impaired. So I'm going to put in a description that will give them a similar equivalent experience. Photo of a brown rabbit on green grass. And that should do it. If I want a caption here, I'm going to just type in something. We'll see what happens with the caption. I'll just say bunny. Now I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and you can see here, oops, if I made a mistake on which one I uploaded, I can upload a new file from here, and then it goes to that other screen that I showed you in the last video where I can upload the file. But it will leave this insert media thing and take us to a new place. This section here for attachment display settings at the bottom of the right-hand panel is really important too. This is where you decide which way it's going to float, or if it's going to float at all. Is it going to move over to the right and have text wrap around it on the left? Or is it going to be on the left and have text wrap around it on the right? Or is it not going to do either of those things? You can also have it linked to somewhere. and you can choose the size. For this particular rabbit, I'm going to have it float to the right and have the text wrap around the left edge of it. I do not want it to link to anywhere, it's just a picture. But if I wanted it to link to a website, I could choose custom URL, or I could have it link to the larger version of itself. That's fine if they want to get the big picture, but I'm going to say none. And now size. This is where we see that real power of WordPress images, image management. We have a choice of a thumbnail that's 150 by 150 pixels. That's about what we see here on this screen. Medium is 240 by 300, so the maximum height or width would be 300 pixels for medium. For large, it's fairly large, 625 pixels across by 781 down. And then our full size. You know, if we just wanted to blast this picture on the page and have that full 1.3 megabyte picture on the page for people to download, you would pick that, but don't pick that. Okay, I'm going to choose medium here. And it's going to float to the right. It has my alt text for the visually impaired, and I'm ready to go. I'm going to click on the blue button that says Insert into Page. And there he is. Here's his little caption. Here's the text wrapping around it, and then down below it. I'm going to update the page now and preview it, or view what it looks like now. Remember, I can right-click on the permalink, or up here where it says View Page, open link in New Tab. And there he is. He's got a little bit of a styling here. There's the caption underneath, and he's floated over to the right-hand side with text wrapping around. Notice that our headings are styled so that they don't follow text that is wrapping around a picture here. So keep that in mind, that if there's a heading following the text that wraps around a picture, it will start on a new line below the picture. One last thing, you can make further adjustments to the size of the picture back in your edit page screen here. If you click on the image, you can grab one of the corners and further adjust it, like so. I'm going to update the page. Again, that takes a moment for it to finish updating. It's being slow to react today. There we go. And now I'm ready to refresh the front end. A rabbit will be a little smaller, and that has tightened up this gap here between the introductory text and the first heading 2.